Hey, good morning. So I'm finally venturing out to the snow for the first time since the storm. Unfortunately, we didn't have shul yesterday for the safety of those who walk and the blizzard conditions and the roads, etc. But I wanted to talk about something shocking that happened last week. And I considered not talking about it, but yesterday when I was home, although I did not get to be in shul and read the Torah portion, I read the Torah portion in my home from a book. And one of the laws we learned in last week's Torah portion is the Torah telling us V'gonev ish u'mecharo mos yamos, that someone who kidnaps another person should be sentenced to death. You know, when I was thinking about it when I first read it in the beginning of the week, and I read it often every year, the Torah writes this 3,000 years ago, but it doesn't really happen in this day and age. Well, it does happen, but definitely not in a place like America, in a place like Boston. You know, we live in beautiful communities where we're safe from everything. Well, last Sunday, Brittany was away in New York for the Chabad Women's Convention, and I was here with the kids, and we were driving almost Roxbury Parkway on the street that we live, and literally like 3 or 4 doors down, I saw 3 police cars and a teenager sitting, all worried. And I rolled down my window, I said, "Is everything okay?" And they said, "Yes, everything is okay. It's under control." But later on in the week, I saw one of the officers, and he told me, "You won't believe what happened." I said, "What?" He says, a girl, a teenager, had jumped out of the car and rang the bell of my neighbor and said that she was kidnapped. And the officer told me that obviously the car sped away, but we did manage to find the car and the people in Boston, and it was a case of human trafficking, of kidnapping, literally. And I was shocked. I mean, you live in Chestnut Hill, you never think you would come across something like that. But here we were in Chestnut Hill in 2022, and I literally saw a girl sitting on the steps of my neighbor who was kidnapped. And the words of the Torah always ring true. Which brings me to this week's Torah portion. The Torah portion begins, V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'soicham. God says we should make him a dwelling place, a home, a tabernacle, a temple, and he will dwell within us. But it's interesting because when the Torah begins Genesis with the story of creation, and it doesn't give it to us in so many details. But yet, when it comes to building an abode, a home for God, the Torah goes through great details. 31 verses here, and then the next 4 portions, the second half of Exodus, all deal with building God an abode, a home. And the truth is like this. Of course, God wanted us to build him a physical home, a tabernacle, a temple where he could dwell. But God also wanted us to build his home, this world, into a place where he could dwell. By the way we act, by the way we treat others, by the spirituality we have in our home, by the humility. And therefore God dwells much more and spends much more time focusing on the home that we build God than on the home that God builds us. Because the truth is, for God to build the world is easy. But for mankind to build a home for God, a place where God's presence is felt, where morality, where civility, where kindness, where love, where spirituality, where humility is permeating the very being of the people, is something that is very hard. And therefore, God devotes so much to it. And it really made me think when I saw this shocking story that happened this week of the work we still have to do right in our midst of making sure that God has a place to dwell with me. So here we are. We had a snowstorm. Everyone was talking about it for a week. It's record snow in certain places. But the snowstorm came in one day, and then you have cleanup time. And usually the cleanup time always takes longer than the actual snowstorm, of course. We have a kidding joke that we say a snowstorm is like the in-laws. Comes for a day and it leaves a mess for 2 weeks. Here I am. We haven't even been dug out yet. But yet we recognize the metaphor for life. God created the world in 6 days. And then he left man and woman and this world to clean up and to make this world a place that God's presence is always felt. God bless you. Stay warm, enjoy the snow, and have a great day.